DDG episode 239. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
Dave, I was a little worried we wouldn't have much to talk about with PlayStation the last 2 days. It's just been here's a story, here's a story, here's a story.
I forgot to tell you before we started too. I think that did you see? I mean, not that we can jump into it, but did you see what BioWare did today?
A lot of things. We can talk a little bit about BioWare, but they did a lot of things, and I don't know if any of it's going to actually work for them.
Yeah. So, all right. So we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that posts typically on Thursday mornings at 6 a.m. Eastern, except for Michael and I's life is not lining up really well. Is like I'm trying to. I realize that I'm kind of in this. I guess whatever you want to call it, a midlife crisis or post my dad passing
crisis.
that I'm literally.
I feel like a jerk.
Yeah, it's fine.
Crisis.
But I'm literally like, so, my dad essentially died of a bad heart. And I'm in better shape than he ever was at this age. But so anyways, like I'm trying to, whether it's a New Year's resolution or a combination of post my dad passing, I'm trying to take better care of myself, whether that's playing basketball, whether that's, playing softball like I do, or just trying to just do other activities as an adult with a child and stuff. But it's kind of messing with my schedule a little bit. And I found a cracked pipe yesterday. So that was fun to like pull the dishwasher out and cut this pipe off and all that other stuff. So like those are things that are affecting day-to-day functionality of our routines and our schedules. Not that we were even going to plan to record yesterday, but I was supposed to play basketball and then record later. And then it just didn't happen because news was light anyways. But so a long story short is we try to release on Thursdays, no later than Fridays. And it's on podcast services around your phones, your tablets, your in-car radios, whatever you want to call them, however you listen to podcasts. We're probably on that platform. If you're listening to us and there's a platform you want us to be on, just let us know. And I'm sure Michael could figure it out. I think the only one that we ever had a hard time with was iHeart. I feel like, or Pandora.
Pandora.
Yeah.
Pandora.
Okay.
Pandora is the hard one. Not hard, just annoying. I just don't want to deal with it.
But I haven't really heard anybody say anything about Pandora. But if you are able to leave us a review on however you're listening to us, that's awesome. That helps us grow through the metrics and the algorithms with that. If you can subscribe on that platform as well, so it just downloads whenever we upload it. That's helpful. You can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/digitaldaysgaming. You can watch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming. And we also have a Patreon. All of those are linked in the show notes. We have a Discord and a Facebook group. We have a Discord server and a Facebook group that you can post in and ask questions and conversate. Discord tends to be a little bit more active than Facebook just because of, sometimes the cesspool that Facebook can be, myself included. So there's always a lot going on. But everything that I just talked about is linked in the show notes, or you can go to our website, digitaldaysgaming.com. So we're going to jump right into the news.
Yeah, we got a lot of PlayStation news this week. All of our stories, except if we have time for some EA, BioWare, and some Baldur's Gate news, we might tag those on. But the first story is Forza Horizon 5 is coming to PS5 this spring. Panic Button is handling the port, and it will include some previously released cars as well as the Hot Wheels and Rally Adventure expansions. This is going to be Xbox moving forward. Phil Spencer was on a couple different podcasts, I think Gamertag Radio and then Destin's YouTube channel, basically just talking about exclusives moving forward for Xbox and how they're not really going to have many exclusives and they're going to be mostly a multi-platform company as they move on with getting Game Pass everywhere. So yeah, this is going to be the first. This feels bigger than it actually is. We're talking about a game from 2021.
Yeah,
but it still seems like a big deal.
It's still a marquee franchise, though. It's really the first true PlayStation competition to Gran Turismo. Question mark. I mean, Assetto Corsi, but and I understand that Gran Turismo is significantly more of a sim. I would call a sim racer than Forza Horizon. Forza.
Well, this is Horizon, so this is definitely their Need for Speed competitor.
Okay, yeah. So I don't really know it. I don't really play very many of these games personally. I don't really know a ton about this, but there is no negative to Xbox Studio games being on PlayStation. It's any sale is better than no sale. Something is better than nothing. And if you're going to be on Roku and Samsung, what difference does it make at this point? If you're going to be on a television that you can hook a Bluetooth controller up, give the customer the choice. What does it hurt?
Yeah. Oh, I stand corrected though. The expansions will be available for purchase, so they're not going to be included.
Okay. Yeah, so it's not like a Game of the Year edition or anything like that, or Ultimate Edition. So,
but at least that content is available, so
yeah.
people can acquire it.
So I mean, we're looking at these windows now of like whatever Indiana Jones is on, like what, a 6-month window or a 4.5-month window or something like that. Yeah, like so there's gonna be some things there, but I mean, like if you own a PlayStation and you don't want to buy an Xbox, like now you have a different avenue. And you know, we saw years ago, like Sega goes, we're done with hardware. They said they're completely done because they were losing and they were failing. Is the Xbox Series losing and failing? No. Is it thriving? No. But now they're a software company that happens to sell hardware. PlayStation is a hardware company that also makes software. Their hardware does really, really well. If Xbox's hardware was doing well, this would be a different conversation. But they're realizing that this is where their hardware is going to do, and it kind of ties into the next story a little bit of my opinion and my take on this next story that you're going to talk about. But the hardware is just not there. So if the hardware is not going to be there, let's focus on the software. And you know, they're still going to make another Xbox, like they're going to. We've already heard about it.
Yeah.
So.
And this is the thing where they're just kind of like, you know, I think Phil Spencer talked about like, hey, the software isn't going to be like the selling point for the hardware for them at this point. The hardware is the selling point for the hardware. They're like, we want to make sure we have the best hardware capabilities out there, blah, blah, blah. So this doesn't hurt them at all. Like if they can actually get hardware that's attractive, people will buy it regardless of, you know, their games are multi-platform. And if they don't, their games are multi-platform. People are still going to purchase them. Yeah. And this is a good move from them because there is kind of like, the racing genre seems like it is kind of on a down since EA bought up a couple of Codemasters and a couple of the other racing studios, to where Forza, if they can get into the cadence they were in a couple years ago, where they were kind of alternating the Motorsport and the Horizon series every other year, this could be a good opportunity for them, especially with how long it takes Gran Turismo to develop and release.
But I mean, at its core, though, like I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. At its core, like what was the like? I mean, right now I can think of like two. So what were the two, or what were only? Damn, what games came out that you could only buy and play on PS5 in 2024?
Astrobot, Stellar Blade.
Okay, I was thinking Helldivers Astrobot. I forgot Helldivers was on PC.
Yeah.
And Stellar Blade's coming. So like this argument to be made of, you know, the last 18-ish months, you know, and this is you know, on Sony too at this point in time of like, this is, the lines are blurring, and they're even from Sony's end, they're blurring. Spider-Man 2 is out on PC today. Like, what's the difference? Spider-Man 2's newer than Horizon.
Yeah.
Forza Horizon, it's newer. It's on PC. So are they going to put it on Xbox? No. Do they need to put it on Xbox? No. But why'd they put it on PC? To make money. So why is Xbox putting Forza Horizon on PlayStation? To make money. Like,
yeah, especially when you're talking about like PlayStation is the biggest platform right now for them to put this out on. And for PlayStation, the biggest platform for them to put their games on is PC. So it's like, that's why they're focusing on PC, and that's why Xbox is focusing on PlayStation right now, is because it just makes sense. If you're trying to pull money in, and especially we're talking about like they had Panic Button.
I hate the name of that studio, by the way.
This port together, and this is just one of those things where it's like, hey, this is going to give the studio something to do, and it's probably something they can knock out relatively quickly.
Yeah,
you know, not to say that it's not difficult, you know, but porting games we know is significantly easier than starting from scratch.
Yep.
So it's just like, hey, let's just do this, and then if it makes money, cool, or if it at least sets a foundation for our next Forza game to come out maybe day one on PlayStation, cool. Then we'll make money in the long run. So this is just like a no risk opportunity.
And both companies have purchased publishers and developers that are comfortable with the other two platforms that they're on. Sony's purchased companies that are comfortable publishing on PC and on Xbox. Bungie, and somebody else, Insomniac. Okay, sorry. And then obviously Microsoft with Activision Blizzard and Bethesda. Like these companies, their staff has been doing multiple platforms for their existence. so that somebody's probably sitting there at the board like, hey man, it's really not that hard. One dude can, I'm exaggerating, but one dude can take care of it in a month. Like like in terms of like labor and then return on investment, like we sell 100,000 copies, we profit what we invested. That's just basic round numbers. I'm sure it's more or less. I don't know. But there's no harm. Like all this stuff, like, oh, like Halo Master Chief's going to be on a PlayStation. So what? Like, stop. I don't understand the narrative of I've never played Xbox games on my PlayStation.
But honestly, the people that are going to make those complaints are the people that had no intention of buying it, and the people that were vaguely interested are going to be like, "Oh, cool, I'll pick it up." As long as it's priced reasonably. Like, if Horizon 5 comes out for anything more than like $40, like it's going to be like you weren't trying hard enough. Like they try and release this as a $70 game or something. It's going to be like, okay, you didn't really want to put an effort into it.
I mean, Doom's going to be out.
Or you were really trying to bank on people's curiosity.
Why isn't it as big of a headline that Doom's going to be on PlayStation? The new Doom. Like,
I think that this comes down to is Microsoft actually keeping its word when they acquired Bethesda.
But it's a new Doom game, air quotes.
Yeah.
So they could be like, oh, but
they did say when they bought Bethesda specifically, like, hey, if the franchise has already been on that platform, we'll keep them on that platform,
which is great. Like, and I love it. Like, so now again, from a business standpoint, they could get possible Game Pass subscriptions. I think they said this week, don't quote me on this, but I think they said they saw a 4 million increase of Game Pass subscriptions just for Indiana Jones, they believe that month.
Not an increase, but 4 million people have played Indiana Jones. Yeah. Which the only way to really
via Game Pass, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
not an increase, but just they're saying like, hey, these people played it.
That's a significant chunk. If like I know it's not but in the first month, if a company came out and said if Sony sold 4 million copies of Spider-Man 3 in the first month of it being out, they'd be screaming from the rooftop. So
yeah, and I would say specifically for Indiana Jones is the thing I've been saying the entire time we've been talking about indie being a game.
Yeah.
Is I feel like that audience is still a niche audience.
Yes.
In terms of just like people that like actually know Indiana Jones and love Indiana Jones.
Owen doesn't really. Owen doesn't have a clue who Indiana Jones is. No. Jonathan at 25. Kind of probably because of his parents, me, hey, this is a cool movie. You should watch this when you're a teenager.
I don't hear you talk about Indiana Jones.
I'm not a junkie for it, but it's been a long time since there's been any content for Indiana Jones. So probably Crystal Skull was, I don't even know how many years ago.
There was
more than
an
5.
Indiana Jones movie 2 years ago.
Was there? Is that Crystal Skull?
No. That was the new one that bombed.
Oh, that's right. Harrison Ford was in that one too. Yeah, but I don't think I saw it. So
because it bombed. But that's what I'm saying. Like the Indiana Jones feels like it's like on a downward trajectory in terms of public interest, and it's still got 4 million people to play it.
Yeah, it's like if they brought a Voltron game out today, like, oh, there's 3.5 million people playing it. Really? Like,
yeah, and it's like, oh, that's good. For
the core audience of your gamers doesn't know who the hell Voltron is. But anyway.
The test is going to be for like a Doom that I feel like is more of a video game household name than Indiana Jones.
It'll be fascinating if it charts. So
like
I think it will. Doom will chart, and so then you got to look at the pros and cons of Doom charting, which means it's MPD charting, whatever the hell you want to call it now, which means it sells on PlayStation 5, it sells a little bit on Xbox, and it sells on PC, and the other layer, the frosting or the cherry on top is who subscribed to Game Pass because Doom came out. Like that's the number we'll never see. Do you think it's far-fetched to say 1 million people pick up Game Pass because Doom comes out in May?
Maybe.
Yeah. So
it's hard to tell because they're so secretive with the numbers.
Correct, but I'm saying like if 1 million people,
I could see a couple 100,000 people for sure.
So like if 400,000 times $10, like you could start doing that. Like that's significant. Do they stay?
Yeah.
You get 400,000 people, and if you retain 25%, you got 100,000 increase of Game Pass subscribers. I know tons of people that are
I would love to see though is the retention number off like those.
I would love to see activate and deactivate, like people that do what you do. Oh, I have a 90-day code. Cool. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this. Oh, it expired. I'm done with all the stuff. I didn't start anything new. Cool. 3 months later. Oh, Doom's out. Well, okay, let me go get another 90-day code. Like
I looked at my subscription ends, I believe, like 2 days after Avowed comes out. Where it's just like, okay, fuck, you got me again for Avowed, and then Expedition will come out when that 3 month run expires probably. So yeah, those are the numbers I would love to see, but I don't think they'll be comfortable telling us those numbers
Right.
until they hit like a huge
Yeah.
milestone. Which I think they're fine right now, just slowly getting there. But we'll move on to the next story, which also
Yeah.
kind of talks about Game Pass. MLB The Show is skipping the PS4 and Game Pass, so MLB The Show is coming out in March. So they're starting to do the because pitchers and catchers are reporting soon. Usually when we
Valentine's Day. Yeah.
usually this is when we get MLB The Show news. So they announced that MLB The Show is only coming to PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and a Nintendo Switch. It will not be coming to PS4. It's considered last gen hardware, and they just want to move forward, but they're still doing a Nintendo Switch version, which is kind of funny. But that's a glorified mobile version at this point, probably.
It runs really well.
But they wanted to emphasize that MLB The Show 25 is not coming to any subscription services at launch. So basically, they're just saying, like, hey, don't expect it on Game Pass. And just because it's not on Game Pass, don't expect it to be on PlayStation Plus anytime soon. So changing things up. The last two MLB The Shows were day and date, day one on Game Pass. So this will be different, which this seems like a good strategy for Sony. Get people hooked for 2 years
Absolutely.
on Xbox and get them to jump in and maybe buy.
That's what I was going to say. If you're a fan of MLB The Show and you're an Xbox player and you became a fan of MLB The Show and you end up buying it this year, adding it to Game Pass and then having you purchase it, worked. Like the strategy worked. I'll be curious. We'll never see direct Game Pass or Xbox numbers. I don't think we'll ever see how many copies are sold on Xbox. People can look into achievements or something like that, like they do, and try to data mine crap. But
unless it's a couple million, then I can see PlayStation being like, haha, motherfucker, like people
were
willing to buy this.
Right, which also, I mean, it's the only baseball game. So like there's obviously a market for it. I am very surprised about the lack of a PS4 version, to your point, with the Switch working. Like I feel like that would be a very easy port, like we talked about. And then I am still surprised that we're not seeing or any conversation around PC at all. Like that's still surprising to me. Other than the mod things, maybe, but I don't understand that, especially with Sony's position of, okay, well, it's like the MLB is forcing us to put it on Xbox, like which we heard years ago that they're forcing this based on their contract, and they forced it on the Switch. Why wouldn't you put it on PC? With especially as close as the PS5 architecture is to a PC. Like I don't understand this. Like with like Spider-Man coming out, Horizon, God of War Ragnarok, etc., 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 Helldivers, all of it being there. Like this is a service game. Like this is maybe one of your two service games that generates any kind of revenue right now. Like put it everywhere.
Who knows? There could be some weird contract thing with MLB where they're just like, no, we don't want to do it on PC. I wouldn't be like I saw a lot of speculation of people just being like, cool, the visuals are going to be amazing this year because they don't have to worry about old gen hardware. It's like, no. We're not going to see any major improvements to MLB The Show because the team that was working on the PS4 version are probably now working on the PS6 version. They're, getting ahead a couple years and start working on that to make sure the PS6 one is going to be like super amazing, cool visual fidelity.
Because that console's bubbling around of next year, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. So like they're already probably working on that. So we're not going to probably see anything crazy. And then also like the Nintendo Switch version still exists, which runs fine, but it's not a great looking game. Or the PS4 team's working on Switch 2, and just like trying to make sure they're ready for next year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
For Switch 2.
Or does it come? I know. I guess it would just work. The Switch version would work on Switch 2 if it comes in April, May, June. So
I feel like if MLB was like at a high right now, and I feel like MLB is not at a high right now, like league wide, or league wise, that there probably is no intention of like porting it to the Switch 2 like in the summer or the fall.
This is just one of two games that Sony actually has that I would say that are games as a service that produce consistent revenue, whether it's low or high.
And I feel like they haven't even tapped the they have not even like tapped the surface or whatever of like what this can be as a games as a service. When you look at like how Football Club, Madden, and 2K do games as a service,
like
sports
Ultimate
games
Teams and stuff.
Yeah, because that stuff's in MLB The Show, but I don't know if it's also because MLB just isn't a strong league right now in terms of like fan interest. It's consistent.
It's consistent. It doesn't have the marketing dynamic that NBA players have and just football has as a whole, and then soccer obviously worldwide. But like people aren't like, I love baseball. Everybody knows that. But again, I don't know if Jonathan at 25 years old or somebody else at 20 years old is going to be pumped to play with like a Ken Griffey Jr. Diamond Dynasty card as they would be for like, I got a Tom Brady card or I got a Barry Sanders card. Like the NFL does a very good job of marketing its players and marketing its history. Baseball does a terrible job of marketing its history.
And it used to be the thing they were known for,
Yeah.
and then something kind of happened.
Especially for a sport where like you see their face all the time.
Yeah.
Versus football, they have helmets on. And basketball, like you always kind of, not always, but a portion of the basketball being viewed is being viewed.
Tony La Russa.
Yeah, is being viewed like on the sideline camera or whatever, or the over the top camera. Versus baseball, it's like pitcher, catcher, hitter, and you can you can. There's, I'm sure it is with basketball too, but there's batting stances and like I can identify people by by stature and how they carry themselves.
The NBA logo is literally Jerry West's silhouette.
Correct.
It's like it's a thing. But for baseball, it just seemed like MLB was on the verge of having a lot of cool personalities, but they had too many like old managers and old people in charge that were just like, no, calm the fuck down on this personality stuff. And now they're in like this thing where it's like Shohei is the only like household name, really.
And it hurts that he's not American. It just hurts.
Yeah,
like,
no, it definitely hurts.
I mean, marketing wise, it hurts. I love watching them play. I love baseball though. So
but when you go on ESPN, like those analysts complain that there aren't like American players for them to talk about, and like, you have Aaron Judge, but he's also a Yankee, so he's less like he's super marketable as a Yankee, but like other sports,
they need a great Milwaukee Brewer, Cub, White Sox, Cardinal.
Yeah.
They need
baseball
that
at its best when
Midwestern
it had,
success, whether it's a Kansas City Royal, St. Louis Cardinal, Indian, Tiger, Brave at this point. Like, I mean, somewhere in middle of the state.
Middle of the country, right now it's very LA, New York. It's just like, hey, the Dodgers have all the talent, the Yankees have all the talent, everyone else,
Yep.
Texas is in there. But yeah, that's our baseball minute. But yeah, this is an inevitable move of them just skipping to PS4 and then also skipping Game Pass. Probably was the plan since day one. All right, the next one is PlayStation Plus won't offer PS4 exclusive games in 2026. So PlayStation announced that the wording's weird on it, but it's basically like PlayStation 4 games will not be like a key feature or a prominent feature starting in 2026 for their subscription services, both their back catalog or their catalog and their monthly releases to the essential tier. This means PS4 only games will occasionally be included with Plus, with a greater focus on PS5 games going forward. So this is just them kind of sunsetting the PS4 and just making sure like, hey, we really just want people to play PS5 games and own a PS5, and if a game is only coming out for the PS4, then we just don't want it. Like, we don't want to rely on backwards compatibility as a selling point for this. It's just, you got to have a native PS5 version of the game in 2026.
Yeah, it's actually a little surprising, considering like last week we were talking about like the install base of the PlayStation 4 and the install base of the Switches, and kind of referencing back to that. But also like, PlayStation Plus, as in general, has been, in my opinion, like underwhelming. The core version of it, the $60 a year version or whatever. Yeah. The core version of it has been a little underwhelming, in my opinion, in terms of like what the titles are. And now you are made that potential titles smaller.
Yeah.
So it's just. It's a fascinating choice to see, and their goal is to have you have more than just essential. Like, that's the goal. And then if you're not on PS5, like get on PS5. Absolutely.
I think that's the thing. They're looking at the player base of PS4 to PS5, and they're like, man, some people aren't fucking moving.
Right.
What can we do to get them to move?
Give them a reason. Could be tell them we're dropping PS4, games for PS Plus. Tell them they're not going to be able to play MLB The Show. And then obviously the going forward will be that I would assume, and I don't remember when they stopped doing it, but I know like Horizon Forbidden West was on PS4, Ragnarok was on PS4, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would assume that this also means that anything that's coming out this holiday or next year, obviously next year, would not be coming to PS4 at all.
Yeah, and they started to do that with their partnerships.
I don't
their
think Helldivers
second-party
came to
games.
PS4. I don't think so.
No. Stellar Blade didn't. Wukong
Yeah.
didn't. Astrobot didn't. So like
Right.
they've already started that.
Yeah.
They just haven't had a lot of first-party games to do this to.
Right.
So yeah, this is just them having a greater focus on like, hey, let's just get this thing rolling. We'll just move on to the next story because this is all PlayStation basically at this point. PlayStation also announced that mandatory PSN requirements on PC are no longer going to be a thing. So they announced that PC games will no longer require a PSN account to play, and instead they will provide bonuses to players who choose to sign up for PSN and log into PSN on their PC games. So this is just going to just be bonuses. So like Spider-Man 2 is going to be the first one that's going to get like these bonuses or rewards. And it's just early unlocks for costumes. So the 2099 costumes will be unlocked early in Spider-Man 2. Ragnarok, you're going to get some armor sets early. Last of Us Part 2, you're going to get some extra bonus points for your character and some different cosmetics. So they're basically doing the thing that I think me and you, Dave, basically said they should be doing.
Incentivizing.
Yeah, and this might be enough to get people to make a PSN account, but also doesn't block the 77 other countries that didn't have access to PSN.
Yep. I think it's cool. I like about time, like good choice, I guess. But the next thing is like we got to start like Sony has to get some pressure on this too. Like I don't want to derail this story, but like where's my crossplay? Like
I mean, crossplay exists enough.
I'm sorry, where's my cross progression?
Okay, there
Sorry,
you go.
wrong choice of words. My apologies. Where's my cross progression? If I choose to buy Spider-Man on PC to put it on my ROG and go on my Caribbean cruise in 2 weeks, I don't want to start over.
Yeah.
Like,
And especially if we're already saving our stuff in PS Plus Cloud.
Right.
Like, let me subscribe to, or let me use my PS Plus everywhere, or let a PC player get access to PS
yeah,
Plus.
I mean, we didn't talk about it too much after the Xbox developer event that we talked about last week, but at the beginning of that event, they put up a little, text on the screen that all of these games are buy once, play anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already on PC now. Like, so if I choose as a player to buy Spider-Man, Ragnarok, Last of Us 2, whatever on PC, and I already bought it on PSN, and I link my stuff because I choose to link my stuff, I should be able to pick up where I was. Like, it should just work. In 2025, it should just legitimately just work, especially if I'm going to buy the game twice. Ultimately, my pie in the sky thing is that like Sony has a launcher on PC. Like, God, I don't want another launcher, but this would be the only way this would work. Sony has a launcher, PlayStation has a launcher on PC. I log into my PSN account and I can download any game that's available on PC that I purchased on PlayStation. Like, that's the pie in the sky thing that I want, because that's what Xbox does. And so where I wouldn't like Last of Us Part 2 is on PC. Cool. I can play it on my PC, maybe a little better, widescreen, all that fun stuff, like a little stronger because my PC's about the same as my PS5, but by ROG and my Steam Deck, like those are things. They're starting to pick up steam, pun intended. They're starting to pick up that you're starting to see some more people go, hey, this thing's not that bad. So
yeah, I would even settle for them if they just did the Call of Duty thing. Remember, Call of Duty was just like, hey, for $80 you get both the Xbox One and the Xbox Series version of the game. Like, I would honestly be on that point where it's like, hey,
deluxe editions, or whatever. Yeah,
just especially the people that would be interested in that are probably the people that have the expendable income to afford to do that. So like, it wouldn't be the worst thing. But yeah, that would also be the thing that I would want, is this cross progression, just spread out. That doesn't involve like the developers having to just make their own fucking network that I have to sign up for. And
no, I'm not loving
manage.
Another launcher, but that would be like, I feel like that'd be the only way that it could truly
but I would
work.
prefer it be handled by PlayStation or Xbox, as opposed to having to have like my Warner Brothers account, like I have to do for all the WB games, and the Larian account for both
your
games.
Ubisoft account and your Epic Game account, and like it's like I don't even know what I have on Epic anymore. I forget that I have it.
I do too. I gotta remember to launch that from time to time. But yeah, so that's just another big change at PlayStation, and we'll move on to probably the biggest change at PlayStation, which this all this makes sense to me. Like everything that we've gone through has just made perfect sense to me so far. But PlayStation is shaking up its execs. So Sony has shaken up the leadership at PlayStation. First, the current SIE chairman Hiroki Totoki will be bumped up to Sony CEO. Then Nishino will now serve as the SIE CEO, a position he was previously sharing duties with Herman Host with. Herman Host will continue to be the CEO of PlayStation Studios, but will now report to Nishino. So basically, two people got basically bumped up, and then one person got kind of bumped down, but not really, because he's still in charge of the half of the company he was in charge of.
I think it truly came down to Nishino and Holst went to Tataki and said, enough. Let Herman do games. Let Nishio do CEO of the entertainment industry. Like Holst probably got bored of being in meetings talking about TV bezels.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, he's still doing PlayStation Studios as in the movies as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, but I meant like we're gonna talk about the tech that we're putting in our phone, and he's probably like, shoot me. I'm using a broad example, but like Holst is a game developer. Like a game developer manager. Like let him do PlayStation. Like this is what we were talking about. Let him do PlayStation. These names and these titles fit perfectly. Like where they go. Like of course PlayStation reports to some. Of course Host reports to somebody that oversees all of the entertainment, all the interactive entertainment.
Host should be asking for the money, not trying to figure out where the money's going to come from.
And then of course somebody that's over the interactive entertainment reports to another dude. Like another person, sorry. Like that's kind of like the way the chain of command works. But it's like, oh, okay. So it would be like, you're going to like, Dave's going to be the manager of retail and HR. Michael's going to be the manager of HR and retail. Michael has the degree in HR management. Dave has the degree in retail management. And I'm sitting in these HR meetings going, I don't understand. I don't care. Michael's sitting in the retail meetings like, I get what's going on here, but like this ain't worth my time.
It's like, let's not split their focus. Let's just have them focus on the thing they're good at. So the way I see this is just like Totoki, I think, was basically... I didn't know he's been working for PlayStation for a while, but I have a feeling the reason he was temporarily head of PlayStation during this last year was they needed someone to be the bad guy, someone to cancel the projects. So then the next CEOs could then be the good guys that are like going to fix things. So Totoki, in order to get bumped up to Sony proper, they told him, we need you to go in there and clean house. Yep. We need you to fucking cut heads, and we need you to cancel games. So then we can have these two take over and then be the good guys that are like, hey, we're going back to what PlayStation does best. We're doing single player games. Because
Holst is going to come out in like 6 months and do like a developer direct, and hey, we've heard you, and we're in like I'm using a broad example. We heard what you want. We're going back. Here's Uncharted 5. Like here you go.
Don't ignore that Concord was my baby. Apparently, and I was the one that pushed Concord, but Jim Ryan really.
I'm the one that brought you Killzone 1, 2, and 3 and Horizon, and I'm going to bring you more things like that as new CEO of PlayStation. Like he gets to like kind of put like the Superman cape on and stand in front.
Yeah. To me, everything that like everyone moving to their proper position, I think was always the plan. Yeah. But they needed someone to just clean up, and it just makes sense because if you had to go to all of these studios, and we're talking multiple studios, and you had to go to Naughty Dog and be like, hey, that thing you've been working on for 4 years, fucking gone. Hey, Insomniac, that thing you're working on for 2 years, gone. Ben, the thing you've been working on for 7 years, fucking kill it. At a certain point, that is demoralizing, and you probably don't want to listen to that leader anymore.
But now Holtz gets to go to Ben and be like, hey, you want to do Days Gone 2? Let's go.
Yeah. and it's going to be one of those scenes where it's like, hey man, that was Totoki. He was the one that canceled.
He's gonna go and he's gonna walk into Bend, and he's gonna bring everybody into the conference room. He's gonna pull that sheet off the whiteboard, and it's gonna say Days Gone 2, go. And and then he's gonna walk out of the room, and everybody's like, hell yeah, or
and they're gonna be like, wait, wasn't that the guy that wanted us to do live service games? And it's like, no, that was Totoki.
Yeah,
that was Jim Ryan.
And then the buddy's gonna your buddy's gonna point at the board, like, look, like we got what we wanted. Like, who cares what he did? We got what we wanted.
That's our hero now. Yeah, we're gonna forget that the guy came in 2 years ago with Jim Ryan saying live service games.
Yeah.
and then we're gonna forget that another guy came in.
Here you go, Blue Point, Bloodborne, Infamous, go for it. You know, like,
and then also then it doesn't put the negative vibe of like, hey, that's the guy that killed our game.
Mm-hmm.
Because that guy's now at Sony proper, you know, like they're like, oh no, like they're basically gonna probably tell those studios like, hey, all those decisions to cancel all your hard work, that was the guy at Sony.
Yeah, Sucker Punch, Bend, Naughty Dog, Santa Monica, Sony San Diego, they will not see emails from Nishino. They will not see emails.
No, they will see from Nishino. They
not
just
directly to them though. Like Holst will communicate to them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's just going to realign things. And
I would say it's probably similar to the Layden house.
Probably, like it seemed like Layden was a little bit more of like the front man.
Yeah, the gamer, and House was the like Layden got to come out and wear the funky shirts and mess with people, and House came out in the suit and tie and said, "Our pie chart shows
Kojima.
This." You know, like Layden would come out there and be like, "You want games, bro?"
And I think that's what they needed, and they kind of just needed a reshuffle, a clean slate. Yeah. I think the co-CEO thing was probably never going to work fully, based on like what you had said too. So this is just like, hey, we're just gonna clean slate it. This also coincides with all the previous stories that we talked about, where it's just like, hey, fuck it, new people in charge of PlayStation, technically, not really. So let's just get rid of some of this other stuff that was probably Jim Ryan-isms. Just like, hey, PSN requirement for everything.
You'd know this better than I would, because I guess I should know it because of how close I pay attention to it. But is Holst an active board member on Bungie's board now?
That's the rumor. They haven't confirmed that.
Okay, because I think that also might be taking up some of like a little bit of his time. Like, not that Bungie's bigger than Bend or Naughty Dog, but that's a delicate difference in their contract of how Bungie functions. It's not one of those. The rumor
is that they got more board seats.
Yeah, it's not one of those things where Holst has to be on a call with the Sony Bend board, the Sony Bend leadership team. But if Bungie calls for like a leadership meeting, like Holst might have to be there.
Yeah, or it's like done quarterly and monthly that Host has to be there, and that's enough time if you're talking about the fucking CEO of worldwide PlayStation Studios. It's kind of difficult.
Yeah,
which is part of the reason Jim Ryan said he was retiring. It's just like, hey, it's really hard to like manage a global company.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, this all kind of makes sense, and I think this is really good optics going into this year, and it also buys them time in the public's eyes of just like,
oh, there's a little bit of takeover or turmoil and turnover going on, change of the guard. But we
got to really clean up after these assholes that ran it before. Oh, who ran it before? Nishino, Holst. And
but it also gives them a great opportunity. What we talked about is like what it should have been before. Like Holst is now the face of PlayStation, which is what he should have been from the start.
On the dev side too.
Yes,
specifically the studio side.
Yep. And they're not going to be like, I mean, I don't know. Like, did Ryan make games?
No, he's straight up businessman.
So when Holst comes to somebody and goes, hey, I understand what you're going through, the guy at I don't even, Jesus Christ. Neil Druckmann's going to be like, yes, you do. Like, yeah. Versus when Ryan says it, Druckmann's like, fuck you.
Yeah. Which is why they would send Cerny out to probably have those discussions, you know? Which I still love. Cerny just lives in his own little bubble. He's like in his own like Miyamoto.
Who do you work for? Myself.
Like,
yeah, but you make Sony hardware. Yes, I do. But who do you work for? Me.
Yeah. But yeah, no.
Best deal in the world, by the way.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like he can go chill out for a little bit, maybe make Knack 2.
Yeah. I'm going to make a game today. I'm going to make a disk drive today. I'm going to go back to making my game.
Like, who's funding it? It's like, okay, we got to test the hardware.
Yeah.
Good point. But yeah, no, this all seems like the right way to start off the year for PlayStation in terms of like all the decisions we talked about earlier. And then also just getting their executives in order in terms of just like, hey, this is our leadership. There's no questions. Here's who reports to who, as opposed to the two people being co-CEO of just like, well, I don't want to listen to that guy. I'm going to listen to that guy. Now this is like, okay, everyone knows who they should be talking to now.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just having Totoki, who was like a PlayStation person, now higher up at Sony proper, also gives PlayStation probably a little bit more like leverage as an entity itself of just like, hey, one of our guys is in charge of the big parent company. Mm-hmm. So they might have better decision making in terms of like acquisitions and like game plans for IPs and all that sort of stuff. So they might have a better directive, or no directive coming from Sony, because it's going to be like, hey, PlayStation guys, I'm one of you. I trust you guys. Just do what you got to do. So that's all good for PlayStation. And again, this buys them some time. So, when we come to holiday and we're like, where the fuck are our first party games? They could just say, well, we have new leadership who just got in charge. So we're going to be like a year or two out before we have anything. So
a year or two out means, oh, by the way, here's the PS6 and we're going to double down on single player.
Yeah. It puts them in a perspective or a spot where they can.
So I got a question. I got a question based on this conversation now.
Yeah.
Intergalactic, PS5 or 6?
It'll be 5. I think it's out sooner than we think.
Okay.
I think it's
because if you believe the rumors, we're talking about holiday next year, a new console. I
don't think that's possible. Like I know that's what the rumors are. Yeah. I think 2027 is when we get new consoles.
Yeah.
Intergalactic's going to be the blow-off game for the PS5, I think.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I agree. I was just curious with some of these changes and stuff that I wonder if that's like, hey, like we sold a ton of hardware. We didn't do great. We didn't do as great with software production as we want, first-party software production as we wanted to, and now we're just moving it all to PS6, and we're going to do a heavy market push for that because our metrics say we'll sell this much PS6, and we'll sell this much more if we actually have a cadence of hardware or software. I'm sorry, software. So
yeah,
right.
Yeah, no. We'll see how things go. This is going to be a very important whatever the fuck showcase we get this year.
Yeah.
In terms of just like, hey, we now have our leadership in order.
They got to talk about the next 6 months soon.
That's what that's what I'm saying. Is like they're gonna, and I'm sure if if they had a calendar or a checklist for showcase for this year, it probably had 6 live service games on it that now were scratched out.
I mean, we gotta know Easter to Labor Day. Like we gotta know something soon.
Hopefully, in February we get a state of play. But,
even if it's third party bloat at this point, there's got to be something that exclusive third party stuff. Like I mean, I don't know. Like I'm getting kind of like I'm in this like circling back to what you've been talking about single player. Wi-Fi on a cruise is expensive. It's also not consistent. It's not great in the first place. It's used mostly for like connectivity of like, okay, I'm alive.
I'm a cringe Facebook post from a cruise ship.
Yeah. I'm struggling. Like I want to take my ROG or I want to take the Switch or both, You're
just going to play Nobody Saves the World on this.
I need something. Like I can't, I bought Dragon Age on PlayStation. Should have bought it. I mean, because I think I could play that offline. I don't know though. It's EA. So I'm trying to figure out like what, I have all the Arkham stuff from like the Humble bundles and things like that I can play, but I'm hoping to get, something new. I mean, the only thing in my mind, I'm like, oh, Donkey Kong just came out on Switch. I would enjoy that, but I don't know if that's what I really want to use my time for, or, like if it rains when I'm on the cruise for a little bit and then for a couple hours and I want to chill out in the morning and play something, like what's it going to be? And that goes
Super
for
Mario RPG.
And that goes for all the platforms right now in terms of like something not online.
Yeah, I mean, because of the Xbox Direct, like my next 2 months or my next couple months are set. Of just like it's going to be Avowed in February and it's going to be Expedition in April. And those
I'm going to check Avowed out. But what's Avowed's release date?
February 18th or something.
Okay, like I might be able to like pre-download that. I doubt it because I'll be on the boat by the 16th or something like that. So. But but again, I don't even know if I can play Avowed offline with my Game Pass subscription like that. Those are the kind of things that I'm trying to figure out. Like I got
February 18th.
Okay, so that's like a Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just like it's my current dilemma in my mind. Like my go-to of like today, like so like I talked about like I had a kitchen pipe crack and I spent almost my entire evening last night underneath the counter of my kitchen, like fixing the pipe. So when I woke up this morning, I'm sore as hell. I was off work today, and I found myself like watching crap movies on Hulu, like Son-in-Law. And then I played video games, but when I was like kind of in the state I was in where I was tired and sore, like that the easy thing was like I played Destiny for like 2 or 3 hours just because I could. And that's not going to be an option for me on the boat.
So Dave, good news is for Game Pass, you have to go into your settings and
offline mode,
mark an offline play thing, and then you don't have to connect to the internet for 30 days as long as your subscription is going past 30 days.
So I could download it in the hotel, hopefully, of like on the night of the 15th, Avowed, if it's available for preload or something like that. I would hope that I could check that out. But I mean, I know I can look it up myself. I just didn't realize to put 2 and 2 together with the dates or everything.
It's available for pre-install now.
Okay, cool. So,
So you might be
I'll
playing
look
about
into
on
it.
a boat.
Yeah. So, or like on the way home on the plane,
Yeah.
or like any of that stuff. So, okay. So that
Light news real quick that we
Yeah.
could just touch on a little bit, because
Yep.
we're probably going to skip playing and watching and questions this week.
we can. I mean, we can breeze through them, but I mean, we're good.
Yeah. So the BioWare, the EA stuff, you had mentioned it earlier in the show.
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of have to talk about it. So basically, EA.
Wow, I have so much
last,
power. Like,
yeah. Well, I feel we can't blue ball the audience. EA last week basically is like, our finances are fucked, and we blame BioWare and the football club game. Because it turns out the football club game is struggling, being called Football Club and not FIFA.
Wow. Who would have thought?
It's not making as much money as it was before. And then Dragon Age basically just sounds like it was just kind of a flop.
Which is crazy because it was like the best-selling game that month it came out.
crazy high expectations, and also
Yeah.
a game that's been in development for
I know.
8 to 9 years.
No wins. Like no win scenarios. It's either you're Call of Duty or you're a failure.
Yeah. And then also, if you've been in development for more than 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
your game's going to either feel old or it's not going to be able to make the money back of that development time that it
Mhm.
was in. So basically, some things have happened. They've made layoffs at BioWare. Apparently, the entire writing staff for Veilguard were let go. I don't think the writing was ultimately the problem with Veilguard.
But not a huge surprise with how long it took for Veilguard to came out, and they already have their Mass Effect writers, probably.
Yeah.
And they don't know what their next project is. So this is
But
kind
also,
of like
Veilguard's had new writers several different times, so
Yeah.
like I don't even know how long these people were working on.
were they
Veilguard.
contracted? Were they like hired as permanent employee? Like there's so many questions. But
BioWare is apparently putting the Dragon Age franchise on ice. So basically, they murdered this franchise.
like it wasn't before.
Yeah. They made the weird announcement of just like, hey, we're not going to need support studios anymore,
Jesus Christ.
and we're just going to be focused on Mass Effect, which basically means, hey, we don't need support studios anymore because we are not a multi-game studio anymore. We are a one-game studio, and that one game is Mass Effect, and we're make or break moment for BioWare and this Mass Effect game. So they're going to go full on into Mass Effect. And based on how I liked Dragon Age, but it wasn't my favorite Dragon Age. It was probably my least favorite Dragon Age, but it wasn't terrible. But this basically means Dragon Age is probably dead as a franchise. And if Mass Effect doesn't hit for BioWare, we might be looking at no more BioWare.
The problem is, so I get it. That's fine. Like we've been talking about though, like the branding and the recognition. Like back to my Voltron reference that I just did a couple quick Googling. Do you know when Mass Effect 3 came out?
2014,
12.
2013, 2012. Okay.
And then do you know when Andromeda came out? As a failure, by the way.
2018,
17.
2019.
Great job.
20, okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm a year off.
Yeah,
so not
you're
that
great. That's great.
Yeah.
So now
bad.
Mass Effect 4. I'm guessing it's got to be 4.
Yeah. No, I think they're just rebranding to Mass Effect.
Okay.
But
so
yeah, whatever.
But yeah, the 4th Mass Effect, because So yeah.
5, the 5th Mass Effect.
Oh, it did. Is the 4 exists? Andromeda's 4. Okay. So, but Andromeda's like between the 3 of them, between the 4 of them, Mass Effect is ranked 4th. Mass Effect Andromeda is ranked 4th, right? Like
Yes,
most people want to forget
like
it
a
exists.
soft reboot.
Two is probably the best from what I hear, right?
Yes, because 3's ending kind of.
Right. 3's
bad.
ending kind of soured some people. 1 built into 2. 2 did great. 3 had great play but ended poorly.
Mass Effect 2 is considered one of the greatest games
Correct.
of all time from that
So,
generation. Yeah.
But now you're talking about if there's probably a huge chunk of Mass Effect fans that may have skipped Andromeda. Possibly.
A lot, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now you're talking about a 15-year window
Yeah.
from 3 to 4 or 3 to 5.
And the staff that made 2 left BioWare a long time ago.
So again, I'm not trying to always use him as a reference, but my 25-year-old son was 10.
Yeah.
And he's going to be 27, 8
Well,
when this
maybe
comes
he
out.
couldn't play it back then when he was 10, and now he's like, now I can play it.
Yeah, he boots up that game and he goes, "Ugh, you played games like this, Dad?"
No, I'm saying like the new Mass Effect. He's
I
like,
agree.
oh, now I get to play that game.
But
that
I
couldn't play as a
have so
kid.
many questions. I need to know what's going on. Oh, go play 3, it's great. Or go play 2, it's great. And they start playing it, they're like, "Ew."
Yeah.
Like, and that's not like anybody's fault. But go play Uncharted 1 now and play 4. Tell me what feels better.
Yeah. Yeah, but ultimately, like, they're gonna have to. I don't even know like how you save Mass
Yeah.
Effect.
You don't
just-
make another sci-fi new thing. Like
but
at this
the
point,
problem is when they're owned by EA, and EA
I
is
got
just
you.
gonna be
I
like,
know. I just
Gotta
but
be a franchise.
but it's
Gotta
not
be a
gonna-
franchise.
It's not going to carry that much weight when it takes 10
EA
years to
would
come out
never
between instances.
EA would never let Naughty Dog make Intergalactic.
I
know?
get it, but I'm just saying, like, there's so many instances, like, so much time has passed, like,
Yeah.
and
But
they
it's
want to
gonna be
forget, and
another
they want to
reboot,
forget. If you ask
so-
EA, they want to forget Andromeda existed. So if you remove Andromeda from the equation, 15, 17 years, people weren't born, and now they drive a car. From the time it took you to bring your game to bring a good game out, or a possible good game out, that's too long.
And then also the people that do remember Mass Effect 2 and 3 being great,
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, "Oh, who wrote it?" And like some people that were fans at
Yeah.
one point of this, and
From the company that
doesn't
bought
always
you
work.
Andromeda and Anthem, the new Mass Effect. Click, turn off.
So yeah, so EA sounds like they're struggling again. We're got to be close to hearing about their Marvel games again.
Yeah,
soon.
where's this Black Panther Captain America game?
Well,
I
no,
know
that's not EA.
that's not them, and that's Skydance, right?
They have a Black Panther game and an Iron
yeah,
Man game,
yeah, okay,
but where are they?
yeah. And then, are we supposed to see Skydance's Black Panther Captain America Civil War? What
Yeah,
was-
that's supposed to be this year.
yeah.
But specifically EA.
I know,
Like, in
I'm
terms
sorry.
Of, like what they need to do.
I forgot.
Like it's like, okay, where is that Black Panther game? Where's that Iron Man game?
All right. And then what's the update? I cringe when I say it, but what's the update about Battlefield franchise at this point? Like, come on.
They were all hands on deck last year, but starting fresh. So
Yeah.
they're a couple years away. Give me my Bad Company remake or something.
Where's another surge to Apex? You got to do something, guys.
Yeah, man, that's another thing. Apex isn't making enough
I know,
money. It's not losing money because it's at that like cruise control position.
Yep.
But if you're EA, you want the arrow to go up, not stay steady.
Double down on college football.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll put in here is a company that knows what they're doing. Baldur's Gate are about to release their, or Larian's about to release the final update for Baldur's Gate 3, and that update will include crossplay across consoles and PC.
Good job.
There is a limit. PC players can only have up to 100 mods installed with, and be allowed to crossplay with console players.
Okay.
Apparently it breaks after you get to past 100 mods installed. And then also Xbox Series S is in, you can request the ability to do split screen, but because it's in testing right now. So Xbox Series S is getting split screen co-op finally through testing. And
there must
then,
be enough data that people use this function.
I'm sure it is, but also Larian likes split screen, so it's like their pet project. Of just
Okay.
like, we want to do this, so we're going to.
0.045% of your players use this function. Don't matter.
It's our thing.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
So yeah, that's happening. Cross play has been most demanded thing since like day one for that game. So that's gonna be good. It's good that like they're allowing PC people with mods to play with console players. There is a limit, of course.
Hogwarts got PC mod support this week too.
Yes, I saw I got mod support. So this is a good way to just keep something like, topical, basically, like bringing out Baldur's Gate 3 for like one last go.
Yeah.
Just to kind of wrap a bow on it and then they'll officially move on to their next project. But yeah,
It'll probably throw a boost to the buddy that, I play my game on PC, my buddy's got a PlayStation. Oh, go buy Baldur's Gate now. We can play together. Like, that'll happen.
Yeah.
Either way, PlayStation to PC or PC to PlayStation.
you might sell a couple extra copies because someone's going to be like, hey, I'm going to buy you this game, or
Yeah.
here's money for this game so we can do some co-op,
Yep.
sort of thing. So yeah, good on Larian to actually fulfill that. It seemed like it was going to not happen because we're talking about 2 years after the game came out. But they're seeing it through, getting it officially wrapped up. So good on them. BioWare should take some notes, or EA should take some notes for how to do things.
Yeah, for
But yeah, that's it for news, Dave.
All right. playing and watching for me is super short. I played a little bit more Plucky Squire. Like I said, I've been playing some Destiny. Watching. Haven't really been watching too much stuff. Angela and I have picked up a couple of our other shows. Just our basic, whatever crime dramas and cringe TV that Michael's not a fan of. What I watch.
Yeah.
Nothing. Amazing. But nothing amazing. Nothing really new. We did. No, I think Sonic has been recent. Sonic 3 was a couple weeks ago. So, I guess real quick, any desire to see the new Captain America next month?
I like Anthony Mackie. That's the only thing that makes me want to see it. But like the trailers have done nothing for me.
Yeah.
And Marvel in general is just on such a down.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah,
like I might
fine.
wait. I still haven't seen the Marvels, and I like Brie Olsen. And
I think you'd enjoy that. That's got to be on Disney Plus. Do you have that? Or
no. I canceled my Disney Plus after X-Men finished,
Okay.
but I'll probably pick it up whenever X-Men season 2 comes out. But yeah, no, I don't know. Like I kind of want to see Captain America, but I also again like I just
the Marvel bump is low.
it's real bad right now.
Yeah.
Like the Daredevil trailer looked good, but I'm still.
I don't even know what you're talking about. More people are hyped about that Superman trailer.
The Superman trailer was fantastic. I'm
Yeah.
super excited.
Yeah.
Jumping into my plane and watching. We just watched all of Creature Commandos, which is DC's new animated show, and it is technically the start of James Gunn's DC universe. So it's technically
canon Yeah.
for this Superman movie coming up, and it was great. It's 7 episodes, like 20-minute episodes, and it was just really good. It's James Gunn just doing what he does best in terms of like, hey, I'm going to pick obscure characters and then make you care about these obscure characters from these
What's it
comics.
called
again? So it was definitely like worth checking out, and just made me more excited for like the Spider-Man movies. It's like, hey, this is the person in charge, or not Spider-Man, the Superman movie.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, this is the person in charge of Superman now, and you can tell they have a love for the comics and the characters.
What's
so
the
like, cool.
anime called again?
It is Creature Commandos. It's
Okay.
on Max.
Okay.
It's definitely worth checking out. It's super weird. The characters are going to be characters you're not familiar with for DC, but it's great. And again, it just shows you the person in charge of DC like actually is a fan of DC comics and stuff. So,
Can I watch it with Owen?
No. It's very violent, very sexual.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely rated R.
Okay.
So yeah, probably not. But yeah, no, it's definitely worth a watch. And then playing, it's been Marvel Rivals. I hopped on line with a couple people,
I
Johnny,
saw the
Tyler.
Discord chat going nuts the other day, or Discord voice chat. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We just did regular because we had a PC player on us, and we can't jump in a comp with a PC player.
Okay.
And console, which is good that they do that.
Yeah,
to kind of have a little separation there. But we were just doing regular games, and then me and my friend were just kind of cheesing some of the in-game achievements, just because there's a lot of achievements of like, hey, revive a Guardian as Rocket, or like a assist in X-Men as this person.
Play this character while hopping on one foot and shooting.
Basically, it's a lot of team up stuff, and like, hey, assist this certain type of character a certain amount of times. So we were just kind of cheesing some of that stuff a little bit here and there. But yeah, just keep going, Marvel Rivals. I should pass the gold tier probably tonight.
Okay.
It's a grind though to like you basically need 3 or 4 wins per rank.
Okay.
Per tier to move up, and each rank has 3 sub tiers, and it's kind of fucking pain.
Nice.
So yeah, just a lot of that. This weekend is the Royal Rumble, so I'll probably be watching wrestling for
I
like
thought
4 hours.
You might try to make a trip to Indy. Like, that's not far.
I'm fine. I've been Indiana once. It did not for me.
I was impressed with Lucas Oil Stadium, which is I'm assuming where Royal Rumble is.
Yeah, it's going to be there. But also, WWE, since they were purchased by the UFC company, their ticket prices are fucking insane now. So yeah, that's a no for me.
Yeah. The reason I asked about the anime thing too is Owen's super into My Hero Academia.
That's a weird anime to get a kid into, but yeah.
I didn't get him into it. Somebody at school or his cousin did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not the anime expert, obviously. I was gonna like watch that other anime with him, and you're like, no.
Yeah. Well, maybe he could. No, don't. But yeah, no. Yeah. So I'm also on call this weekend, so I'm not leaving my house this weekend because when I'm on call for work, I just don't like going out with my laptop.
A little stressful.
Nothing more
Yeah.
frustrating than trying to do something and then your phone buzzes and you have to like stop what you're doing, take your laptop out and start working.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm probably just gonna be indoors this whole weekend playing Marvel Rivals and watching Royal Rumble. So that is all for me for playing and watching.
All right, and that is going to be our show for this week. So you can send us questions using hashtag AskDigitalDays. You can post them in Discord. You can post them on Facebook. You can tweet them at us. You can follow us on social media at Digital Days Pod. At the first MJC is Michaels. At Good Dave Hunt is myself. Facebook group and Discord server were mentioned at the beginning of the show. Mentioning them again. And our Patreon is there as well. Patreon.com/DigitalDaysGaming. Yeah, so that is it. And I hope everyone has a great week and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya. All right.
All right, decent amount of you hanging out in the stream. Thank you for hanging out and watching. We appreciate you guys. Have a great night.